Sarah, you know you only got that promotion because you're sleeping with Davidson, right? Everyone knows you're not actually qualified for management. Those words hit me like a slap across the face as I stood in the break room at 2:47 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. The speaker was Marcus Thompson, a 35-year-old sales associate who'd been passed over for the same promotion I'd just received. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 29 years old, and I work as regional manager at Pinnacle Marketing Solutions in downtown Chicago. What Marcus didn't know as he smirked at me, waiting for my reaction, was that his wife Emma had been my best friend since college, and she'd been texting me for months about his suspicious behavior. I simply nodded, picked up my coffee, and walked back to my office without saying a word. But in that moment, something shifted inside me. I wasn't angry. I was focused, because Marcus had just made the biggest mistake of his life, and he had no idea what was coming. Let me back up and explain how we got here. I'd been working at Pinnacle for 4 years, starting as a junior account coordinator fresh out of Northwestern with my MBA in marketing. The company specialized in digital marketing campaigns for Fortune 500 clients, and I'd worked my way up through sheer determination and 60-hour weeks. I'd landed 3 major accounts in my first 2 years, including the $2.3 million Microsoft campaign that became our biggest success story. Marcus Thompson had started the same week I did, but he'd taken a very different approach to career advancement. While I was staying late analyzing market reports and perfecting client presentations, Marcus was busy schmoozing with upper management at company happy hours and taking credit for collaborative projects. He had that smooth-talking charm that seemed to work on everyone except the actual numbers, which consistently showed my accounts outperforming his by 23% on average. The irony was that Emma Thompson, Marcus's wife of 6 years, had been my roommate at Northwestern and remained one of my closest friends. She was a brilliant architect who'd started her own firm, Peterson and Associates, and was one of the most genuine people I'd ever known. She and Marcus had met at a charity gala 3 years after we graduated, and she'd fallen for his charismatic personality and apparent ambition. But over the past year, Emma had been confiding in me about growing problems in their marriage. Marcus had become increasingly secretive, staying out late for client meetings that never seemed to result in actual sales. His phone was constantly buzzing with messages he'd quickly hide. Their joint savings account, which had held $47,132 last Christmas, had mysteriously dwindled to $12,400 with no explanation from Marcus about where the money had gone. "I think he's having an affair," Emma had whispered to me over coffee just 2 weeks before the promotion announcement. "But I can't prove it. He's gotten so good at covering his tracks." What Emma didn't know yet was that Marcus wasn't just having one affair. He was juggling 3 different women, each of whom believed they were his only secret relationship, while he was planning to leave his wife. I'd discovered this completely by accident when I'd seen him at Ristorante Milano on 3 separate Friday evenings with 3 different women, each time acting like a lovesick teenager. The promotion to regional manager had been announced on Monday morning. I'd been competing against Marcus and 2 other candidates for the position, which came with a $15,000 salary increase and oversight of the entire Midwest division. When Mr. Davidson, our 58-year-old CEO, called me into his office to offer me the job, I was genuinely surprised. Not because I wasn't qualified, but because I knew how much Marcus had been politicking for the position. "Sarah, your performance metrics speak for themselves," Davidson had said, adjusting his glasses as he reviewed my file. "Your client retention rate is 94%, and you've brought in $4.2 million in new business this year alone." The decision was unanimous among the executive committee. I'd accepted graciously and professionally, knowing that Marcus wouldn't take the news well. But I never expected him to start a malicious rumor campaign designed to destroy my reputation and career. By Wednesday afternoon, when Marcus made his crude comment in the break room, I'd already heard whispers in the hallway. Jennifer from accounting had given me a strange look during the morning meeting. 2 junior associates had stopped mid-conversation when I walked past their desks. The rumor was spreading like wildfire through the office. Sarah Mitchell had slept her way to the top. That evening, I called Emma and asked if she wanted to grab dinner. We met at our usual spot, Caf Luna, and I could see the stress written all over her face. Marcus has been acting even stranger lately, she said, picking at her Caesar salad. Ever since Monday, he's been in this weird mood. Angry one minute, then overconfident the next. And he's been working even later than usual. I took a deep breath. Emma, there's something I need to tell you about Marcus, and there's something happening at work that involves both of us. I explained everything. The rumors Marcus was spreading, his 3 affairs I'd witnessed, and my growing suspicion that he was sabotaging my career to cover his own inadequacies. Emma's face grew pale as I described seeing him with different women, including details about his behavior that only someone who knew him well would recognize. The blonde woman last Friday, about 5'6", designer handbag, drives a red BMW? Emma asked quietly. Yes, that's her. You know her? Emma's hands were shaking slightly. That's Melissa Crawford. She works at Marcus's gym. She's been texting him constantly. When I asked about it, he said she was just a friend who needed business advice. We sat in silence for a moment while Emma processed everything. Then, something changed in her expression. The hurt and confusion were replaced by a cold determination I'd rarely seen from my usually gentle friend. Sarah, I've been gathering evidence for months. Bank statements, credit card receipts, screenshots of suspicious texts. I even hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. She pulled out her phone and showed me a folder labeled Evidence. I was waiting for the right moment to file for divorce. I wanted to make sure I had everything documented properly. What kind of evidence? I asked. Emma scrolled through her phone. He's been using our joint credit card to pay for hotel rooms, expensive dinners, jewelry purchases I never received. Last month alone, he spent $3,400 on what he claimed were business expenses. The private investigator, David Chen, has photos of Marcus with all 3 women you mentioned, plus financial records showing he's been embezzling money from his own sales commissions. My blood ran cold. Embezzling how? Marcus has been inflating his expense reports and creating fake client entertainment receipts. David found evidence that he's stolen approximately $23,000 from the company over the past 18 months. He's been using the money to fund his affairs and maintain his lifestyle while he drained our savings. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Marcus wasn't just spreading rumors about me to damage my reputation. He was trying to deflect attention from his own criminal behavior. If he could convince upper management that I was unethical and unqualified, they might not scrutinize his own performance too closely. Emma, I think I know how we can help each other, I said carefully. But I need to ask, how far are you willing to go to make sure Marcus faces consequences for what he's done? Emma's smile was cold as winter. Sarah, he destroyed our marriage, stole from your company, and now he's trying to destroy your career with lies. I'm a licensed architect who's built a successful business from scratch. I didn't get where I am by letting bullies walk all over me. That's when we began planning Marcus's downfall. The next morning, I requested a private meeting with Mr. Davidson and Patricia Wells, our head of human resources. I explained the situation calmly and professionally, emphasizing that I was concerned about potential misconduct that could damage the company's reputation. Mr. Davidson, I've become aware of some rumors being spread about my promotion, specifically allegations that it was based on inappropriate relationships rather than my performance record. I began. I want to address this directly and professionally. Additionally, I've received information suggesting there may be financial irregularities in our expense reporting system that warrant investigation. Davidson's expression grew serious. What kind of financial irregularities? I handed him a folder that Emma had prepared, containing copies of Marcus's suspicious credit card statements and David Chen's preliminary findings. These documents suggest that one of our employees may have been submitting fraudulent expense reports. I believe this situation may be connected to the rumors about my promotion, possibly as a deflection tactic. Patricia Wells reviewed the documents with growing concern. Sarah, these are serious allegations. If this is accurate, we're looking at potential embezzlement charges. I understand completely, I replied. That's why I wanted to bring this to your attention immediately. I've also been advised that there may be additional evidence available through proper legal channels. Davidson nodded slowly. We'll need to conduct a full internal audit and potentially involve law enforcement. In the meantime, I want you to know that the decision to promote you was based entirely on your performance metrics and qualifications. Anyone suggesting otherwise will face disciplinary action. The investigation began that same day. While the company's forensic accountant began examining expense reports, Emma was putting her own plan into motion. She scheduled appointments with 3 different divorce attorneys, ultimately choosing Rebecca Martinez, a formidable specialist in high-asset divorces involving financial misconduct. Emma provided Attorney Martinez with David Chen's complete investigation file, including photographs, financial records, and documented evidence of Marcus's multiple affairs and embezzlement. Based on the evidence you've provided, we can file for divorce on grounds of adultery and financial abuse, Martinez explained during their consultation. The embezzlement evidence will be crucial for asset protection and potentially criminal charges. Meanwhile, I continued my normal work routine while the investigation proceeded around me. The company's forensic accountant, Thomas Wu, was methodical and thorough. Within 3 days, he'd uncovered a pattern of fraudulent expense reports going back 22 months. Sarah, we've found $26,147 in suspicious charges, Wu reported to Davidson and Wells. During a Friday afternoon meeting, I was asked to attend as a witness. Fake restaurant receipts, inflated hotel costs, and multiple charges for client entertainment that don't correspond to any actual client meetings. Davidson's face was grim. The pattern suggests deliberate fraud rather than accounting errors. That same Friday evening, Emma received the final piece of evidence she needed. David Chen delivered photographs and video footage of Marcus entering the Meridian Hotel with Melissa Crawford at 6:30 p.m., then leaving with a different woman, Angela Foster, a 26-year-old marketing coordinator from a competing firm, at 10:15 p.m. the same evening. He's not even trying to hide it anymore, Chen reported. He's booked the same suite 3 times this week for 3 different women. The hotel, staff think he's running some kind of business meetings. Emma looked at the photos with remarkable composure. Perfect. That's exactly what I needed. We decided that Monday would be the day everything came together. Emma scheduled a meeting with Marcus for Sunday evening, ostensibly to discuss their marriage problems. She chose Chez Laurent, an upscale restaurant where Marcus loved to be seen, and invited him to bring his laptop so they could review their finances together. I think we need to be completely honest with each other about our financial situation, Emma told him over the phone. I want to understand where all our money went and figure out how to fix our problems. Marcus, apparently thinking he could manipulate his way out of trouble, agreed enthusiastically. That sounds great, honey. I'm so glad you want to work things out. I'll bring all our financial records. What Marcus didn't know was that Attorney Martinez had arranged for a process server to be dining at the same restaurant that evening. Sunday night arrived, and Emma played her role perfectly. She listened patiently as Marcus spun elaborate lies about their missing savings, claiming he'd made high-risk investments that hadn't paid off yet. He showed her fake documents on his laptop, purporting to show legitimate business expenses, not realizing that Emma had already seen the real credit card statements. Marcus, I appreciate you being so open with me, Emma said calmly after he finished his presentation. I think honesty is exactly what our marriage needs. That's when she signaled to the process server, who approached their table with a warm smile. Excuse me, are you Marcus Thompson? The server asked politely. Yes, that's me, Marcus replied, probably thinking it was a fan of his work or a potential client. You've been served. The server handed him divorce papers, a restraining order, and a subpoena to appear in court regarding embezzlement charges. Marcus's face went white as he read the documents. Emma, what is this? What's going on? Emma's voice was steady and cold. Marcus, I know about Melissa Crawford. I know about Angela Foster. I know about Rebecca Chen from your old job. I know about the $26,047 you stole from your company. I know about the $35,432 you spent on your affairs using our joint accounts. I know everything. Marcus started to stammer, but Emma held up her hand. I've filed for divorce on grounds of adultery and financial abuse. I've turned over evidence of your embezzlement to both your company and the district attorney's office. And as of tomorrow morning, I'm freezing all our joint accounts and changing the locks on our house. Marcus's desperate eyes darted around the restaurant as other diners began to notice the commotion. Emma, please. Let me explain. This is all a misunderstanding. We can work this out. The only misunderstanding, Emma said, gathering her purse and standing up, was me thinking you were worth 6 years of my life. She left Marcus sitting alone at the table with the legal papers, his fake financial documents, and a $127 dinner bill he couldn't pay because Emma had already canceled his access to their joint credit card. Monday morning at Pinnacle Marketing was a day Marcus Thompson would never forget. He arrived at work at 8:30 a.m. to find his computer access had been revoked and his office was being searched by the company's legal team and a detective from the Chicago Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit. Detective Rodriguez had obtained a warrant based on the evidence Emma had provided to the district attorney. Mr. Thompson, you're under arrest for embezzlement and fraud, Detective Rodriguez announced as Marcus tried to enter his office. You have the right to remain an attorney. I watched from my office as Marcus was led out in handcuffs, past the same break room where he'd accused me of sleeping my way to the top just 5 days earlier. The entire office was buzzing with whispers, but this time the conversation was about Marcus's criminal behavior, not false rumors about my promotion. Patricia Wells called an all-hands meeting at 10 a.m. to address the situation professionally. As you may have noticed, Marcus Thompson is no longer with the company, she announced to the assembled staff. We've discovered evidence of financial misconduct that has been turned over to law enforcement. We want to assure everyone that Pinnacle Marketing maintains the highest ethical standards, and any employee found to be engaged in fraudulent activity will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. She paused and looked directly at several employees who I knew had been spreading Marcus's rumors. Additionally, we want to address some unprofessional gossip that has been circulating about recent personnel decisions. Let me be absolutely clear. All promotions at this company are based solely on merit, performance, and qualifications. Anyone found to be spreading malicious rumors about their colleagues will face immediate disciplinary action. The meeting ended with a reminder about the company's zero-tolerance policy for harassment and defamation. Over the next few weeks, the full scope of Marcus's misconduct became clear. The forensic audit revealed he'd stolen $31,147 from the company over 2 years. His fake expense reports included charges for elaborate dinners with his 3 mistresses, weekend getaways to expensive hotels, and jewelry purchases he'd claimed were client gifts. Even more damaging was the discovery that Marcus had been sharing confidential client information with Angela Foster, who worked for a competing marketing firm. He'd been trading Pinnacle's proprietary campaign strategies for personal favors, potentially costing the company millions in competitive advantage. Emma's divorce proceedings moved swiftly. With documented evidence of adultery and financial misconduct, Marcus had no choice but to accept a settlement that awarded Emma 75% of their assets, including their house, both cars, and most of their retirement savings. Attorney Martinez also secured a judgment requiring Marcus to pay Emma's legal fees and investigator costs. The beauty of having documented evidence, Martinez explained to Emma, is that the opposing party has no room to negotiate. Marcus's attorney took one look at David Chen's investigation file and advised him to accept our first offer. Marcus's criminal case was equally straightforward. Faced with overwhelming evidence and the testimony of multiple witnesses, he accepted a plea bargain that included 18 months in minimum security prison, 5 years of probation, and full restitution to Pinnacle Marketing. The 3 women he'd been stringing along all learned about each other during the investigation. Melissa Crawford, Angela Foster, and Rebecca Chen each discovered they'd been manipulated and used. Angela Foster was also fired from her marketing firm for accepting confidential information, while Melissa Crawford sued Marcus for fraud after learning he'd borrowed $8,000 from her for a business investment that never existed. As for me, the vindication was complete, but quiet. Mr. Davidson privately apologized for the rumors I'd endured and offered me an additional raise and expanded responsibilities. My client portfolio grew by 40% as other companies sought out the ethical marketing firm that had handled the Marcus Thompson situation so professionally. But the most satisfying moment came 3 months later, when I received a handwritten note from Emma. Sarah, I started dating someone new last week. His name is James. He's a civil rights attorney. And when I told him the whole Marcus story, he said, "Your friend Sarah sounds like someone I'd want on my legal team." Apparently, the way you handled everything impressed him more than any law school case study. Thank you for being the friend who helped me see that I deserved better. Also, Marcus is apparently not adjusting well to prison food. Karma is delicious. Emma. I kept that note in my desk drawer, next to my regional manager nameplate and a photo from Emma's housewarming party in her new downtown loft. Sometimes when I'm having a difficult day, I read it and remember that patience, preparation, and the right allies can overcome any bully. Marcus Thompson learned the hard way that when you try to destroy someone's career with lies, you better make sure you're not leaving a trail of evidence that leads back to your own crimes. He also learned that underestimating the intelligence and determination of the women in your life is a mistake that can cost you everything. The last I heard, Marcus was working in the prison laundry and had been denied parole due to failure to demonstrate genuine remorse for his actions. Emma, meanwhile, had expanded Peterson & Associates into a 12-person firm and was featured in Architectural Digest for her innovative sustainable design projects. As for me, I was promoted again 6 months later to Vice President of Client Relations, making me the youngest VP in Pinnacle Marketing's 23-year history. This time, there were no whispers or rumors, just respect earned through competence, integrity, and the knowledge that sometimes the best. Revenge is simply being better than those who tried to tear you down. The break room where Marcus made his crude comment has since been renovated into a client conference room. There's a plaque on the wall that reads, "Success is the best revenge, but justice runs a close second." I had that plaque installed myself.